So this is coming into the third turn of Lost Battles. The first turn was the sort of deployment, second turn we've just played. Third turn now for the Athenians. They've got their 6 commands again because their fighting value hasn't changed. And they've got some options or some decisions to make now. They're rather regretting not having occupied this area, but then they didn't get the orders to. So these 4 hoplite units here now, if they push forward, the danger is that they'll get immediately battered by this lot, and even though they'll be able to do some damage back because they've got enough units here to soak up hits, they'll then get battered again, and the chances are that will go quite badly for them. At the same time, getting to grips with this very central sort of point of strength in the Persian line is important to them, because it is doing a good job of threatening the flanks of any forces that move up to tackle the rest of the Persian line. So it's acting as a good outpost and a good blocker, and the Athenians don't have a good way to deal with it. What they could do is push forward on both sides and take the hit, but that doesn't look great as an option. Then they've got the option of, they've got these flanks to sort out, because they've got their hoplites under threat from cavalry stationed out on the wings, and that doesn't look great either. So they don't have a bunch of great options here, actually, and they're wondering what to do. And I'm going to have to give it some thought before, because I can't really consider it on camera and keep talking. So I'm going to give it a little bit of thought and see what kind of plan they might come up with, and then come back. So, having given it consideration, the Athenians are going to just push up across the board. So they're going to push up here, they're going to push up here to try and pin this force here, and push up here, and hope that gives them enough time to do their work in these 2 areas, and that their control of these zones will hurt any army morale checks that the Persians have to make, and they should have just enough orders left to sort their flanks out, and then maybe some bonus ones as well. So how this is going to work is that it will cost them 1 order because of the commander here to move up there, 2 to move up there, 2 to move up there. That's 5. Because he's a single unit, they can give him a command for 1. That would be 6. That would put them on 0, and they're going to get a d6, so they'll get at least 1 to sort this unit out, and then it won't matter what orders they've got left, because they'll have activated everything. So we're just going to do all that. I will make the dice roll when they get down to 0. In fact, so that's 1 command. So I'm just going to move them all, and then come back with a summary of where we're at. And so we've ended up with the Athenian army pressed right up against the Persian army. They've advanced in here, advanced up the centre here, advanced right in here. This unit turned to face the cavalry that's threatening him, and that put them on 0 commands. They rolled a 2, and that they spent that 2 on an express command for this guy, who was then able to turn to face and advance up towards this levy cavalry here. That may not have been a good move, but they didn't fancy letting the cavalry get in onto the flank of their infantry just in case it won its battle. I don't know. It was a difficult call to make. I'm not sure there are particular advantages to what they did, but they've done it anyway. So we've got a situation now where the Persians have forced a situation where they do at least get the first hit in here, and so it's over to them now with their 5 commands to see how much grief they can inflict on the Athenian army. Okay, so we're here now in the Persian part of turn 3 here in Lost Battles, and with the Athenians push right up to them, they now want to get as many hits in and good quality hits in as possible onto the advancing Athenian army. So this zone they want to fight, across these zones they want to fight, across these zones they want to fight, and then if they can do something with their cavalry, that might be a bonus as well. And so what they want to do is get to a point where they know how many bonus commands they've got, so they know how, so they want their d6 roll to see how many times they're going to get to use 2 commands or whatever to give themselves that +1, because they've got 2 zones, this one here where the commander will soak up a cost and let them have a +1 for only 1 command, and the same here. Equally, this zone is only going to cost them 1 command to do a general activation in because of that commander, or a normal activation I should call it, and similarly down here. So they've got some cheaper activations and they want to make best use of these efficiencies that their commanders are giving them in these 2 areas, and this is a key fight for them. If they can win here, they can turn these troops onto the flanks of some of the attacking Athenians. So the question is what order. That's the real decision they've got to make, what order they're going to do this in. And what I think they're going to do is activate here for 2 commands, and then activate here maybe for a command, one of these 2 for a command, and then spend a command on a +1. And that will have given them, that will have spent 4 commands, and then we'll get their dice roll and see how much more they've got to play with when it comes to this, and maybe activating, bringing the cavalry into play this turn. So that's their plan. So we'll start here and we'll look at this combat. Okay, so I've been through the modifiers for this combat, just checked it out, it's as I thought. So we have a lead levy hoplite infantry who's fresh, and then we have got attacks by 4 following levy archer infantry. The lead hoplite will get a +1 on his attack for being the lead unit, and he will get a +1 on his attack for being a fresh lead hoplite attacking heavy infantry, which the hoplite is. So that's a +2. The archers will each make an attack, and that's the maximum they can make out of the zone, 5 attacks, but they will make attacks at +0. They've got no bonuses. So we're going to do 2d6 +2, needing 10s basically to hit, although if we get a 9 there'll be a special rule come into play potentially about making all-out attacks. So let's roll some dice for these 5 attacks. The first attack is at +2, and first attack of the game, first dice roll of the game, a 12. Great. So he's got a total attack of 14. You subtract the hit number of 9, that's 5, and you check it against this table here, and on a +4 above, 2 hits. So if this were a levy unit it would just be shattered and removed, but because other non-levy units can simply absorb the hits and swap in a fresh unit, we would flip this unit and then swap another one in and hit that unit and swap another one in, but obviously the easiest way is simply to absorb the 2 hits on 2 hoplite units there, and they've now put a fresh hoplite into the front, and we carry on with our 4 archer attacks on that new fresh lead hoplite and see what we can do to that mass of units. So the first archer gets a 7 and achieves nothing, the second archer gets a 7, the third archer gets an 11. needs a 9 to hit. 11, well, aim if we subtract the 9, 11 minus 9 is +2. +2 is 1 hit. So again, we'll come back here. There'll be a hit on that. He'll swap out for a fresh hoplite. And then the final archer gets a 4 and doesn't manage anything. But we have to say that 3 hits there is a really good result. A really good result for them. And we'll kind of come to why perhaps when the Athenians attack. Oh no, we could explain it now. Hoplites, one of the special rules is that fresh hoplites who aren't engaged at all can support fresh hoplites who are following and give them bonuses. So for example, this lead hoplite would get some bonuses for being a lead unit, but this following hoplite wouldn't. But you could then support with another fresh hoplite, only if they're fresh, and give it a +1. So these guys could have been attacking with essentially +3s or +4s and +2s, and have quite a significant advantage. But they've just prevented those extra bonuses being added. So that's very good news for them. I've crossed off their 2 commands, and now they've got to make a decision about whether to fight here or fight here. And I think we're going to do this zone here. We've got Levy Archer infantry across the board in there, and we'll be attacking with a lead unit and again 4 following units, and there'll be one that can't take part in this. Now a Levy Archer lead infantry, the Levy Archers that are following exactly the same as our previous combat are going to have a +0, a net 0 on the dice rolls. The lead Archer is going to get +1 for being a lead unit, but not +1 for being a fresh lead hoplite. So just a +1 and then +0s. However, we'll spend our command for a normal activation in the zone. Then we will consider which attack we want to give the +1 to, and I think the first attack with the +1 will give another +1 to make it a +2. So we'll spend a command. It would be 2 commands, but our commander here, our general here, is making it 1, and that means we can roll and see how many bonus commands we're going to get. We get a 5. That's a great result. So we're going to go up to 6 commands here, and that's what we're going to have left to play with to activate in here and the other places and offer bonuses. So now we want to do a quick bit of calculation and see how we're going to spread those 6 commands out. So we'll just come back once we've got a plan for that. Okay, we have got a plan for that. So this zone is going to take a command for the normal activation. This zone is going to take a command for a normal activation. This zone is going to take a command for a normal activation. That's 3 commands, and then we could put the other 3 commands into a +1 bonus with the commander and then a +1 bonus without the commander, and that would be another 3 commands, and we could have 2 +1s in here. So that's our plan, but first we've got to do this combat. We've already announced our attack here and given this guy a +1, and then we're rolling 4 attacks with no modifiers. So the +2 attack, lead unit, and a +1 bonus, and he gets a 4. That's a waste. And then 4 attacks. We've got a 7 that doesn't do anything. We've got an 11. That's 2 better than we need, and that's 1 hit. So we'll cause a hit there. Spend that unit. Our 3rd attack, we've got a 9. That's interesting. Okay, so a 9 is a net 0, so we subtract the number we need to hit and we get 0. No effect, but if we have a fresh attacking unit, we can make it spent in an all-out attack in order to cause the opposing unit to be spent. And yes, we are going to do that. I'm going to cause this unit to be spent. And we are going to cause the hoplite to be spent because they're better than us. So trading a spent unit for a spent unit, I think, is a win for our side, and you kind of score victory points at the end for spent enemy units, and we want to do that as well. So that was an all-out attack, and then we get a 5 and we're done. So next up we will spend a normal command to activate this cavalry. We're down to 5. So he has now got 2 actions because he's cavalry. He will come in here for one of his actions and he will attack for his other action. So heavy cavalry attacking heavy infantry needs 9s to hit. Does he have any modifiers? He does. He's a lead unit, so he's got a +1. But he moved or changed facing earlier in his activation, so he gets a -1 for that. Unfortunately, charges do not give you pluses, they give you minuses. So I think he's on a net 0. I don't think there are any other modifiers for him here. He's just needing a 9, but it's best that he gets this first attack in to see if he can cause that hoplite to be spent and get ahead in the race. He's got a 9, and again he can make an all-out attack. He can become spent to make an all-out to cause that hoplite to become spent. I think he's going to do that. So we'll take that. We'll just try and cause as many hoplites as we can to become spent. Okay, activation over here in this zone. We don't have to move, so we're on a +1 for being a lead unit. So we need 9 again to hit over there. We've got a 4. We've not achieved anything. Okay, so now a command to activate in this central zone, and then a command for a +1 on the first lead average archer. So he's now got a +2, 1 for being a lead unit, 1 for the attack bonus. Let's see what he can do. He gets a 9 with a +2. That is 1 hit. So we will flip over 1 unit there, and they will swap in a fresh lead unit. And then we've got 5 attacks. We'll spend 2 commands, our last 2 commands, on another +1. So our next archer will just have a +1 and gets a 7. That doesn't do anything. And then we've got 3 more. Sorry, I'm blocking the camera there with a big hairy arm. Then we've got 3 more attacks with no modifiers. So let's see what we get. We get a 5, we get a 4, and we get an 8. That's pretty dismal. We wanted better than that in this central zone. But that's what we've got, and we've done reasonably well elsewhere. And now we just make sure we've got a lead unit in each zone, which we have. And that is the end of the Persian turn 3. We will go into the Athenians to see how brutally they can respond.